Hello, grade 7 and 8 flute players. If we have not met, my name is Miss McPherson. I teach grade 8 band, grade 9 band, and also am helping out with the grade 7s this year too. If you are a Riverside flute player, we probably haven't met before. I'm usually teaching upstairs when you guys are down in the library, so it's nice to meet you all. So this video is in lieu of your lesson for this week, our first week of being in Code Orange. So I know we don't get to do things in person, but this is also a video just for flute players. So something that just you can work on specifically. Sometimes you may have lessons with flutes and clarinets together. And so at least this is a video that is just for you to get better at playing your instrument. So get your flute, and we're going to actually start with just the head joint. And we're going to cover a couple things that were probably covered when you were first starting to make a sound. So let's talk about how we make a sound on the flute. So often the analogy we use is when you blow over top of a pop bottle and you get that rumbly sound. That's the way that you make a sound on the flute. So let's talk about positioning of where the lip plate goes. You need to make sure that it's not over here. It's not over here. It is right centered. And let's talk about what your embouchure is doing too. So your lips aren't forward like this. You don't need to do that. They aren't pulled back like this. You actually you have a very natural shape when you play the flute. So if you just blow like when you normally have your lips together and just open that up, that's essentially how you make your sound. So let's bring up our head joints. Let's find a position where you feel like it's comfortable and where you're going to make a sound. And let's try getting this pitch together. Take a minute, find the right spot to get that lower rumbly pitch. And one thing you also want to check for is not having everything tilted like this. Sometimes flute players like to play like this, but make sure you are as horizontal as possible. So take a minute and just adjust that too. And let's try one more time to get the low pitch. Awesome. Now that you feel like you have that, let's talk about how to get the higher pitch too. So if you use a T sound, make sure you're tonguing your note. It's very hard to get this without actually tonguing your note. So this is an articulation exercise too. So making sure my tongue is hitting like the back of my top teeth and the roof of my mouth, and using that T sound, kind of like saying two without saying two. It's going to help produce that higher pitch. Also, my aperture, which is the fancy word for where your air comes out in between your lips, needs to be very small so your air is very focused. So if I bring this up and I do all those things, cold, fast, focused air, and make sure I tongue, I backed up so my camera would not cut out and make a yucky noise. So I had to back up for the higher notes. So hopefully that pitch came out for you. If it didn't, keep trying. You'll notice that my first one was like a little bit like unclear, so I adjusted some stuff, and then it turned out to be way more clear the second time. So take a minute and just keep adjusting. You may have to roll your head joint in a little bit more towards you or out a little bit, so you can kind of adjust that a little bit to try to get the higher pitch. But before adjusting, you should just make sure that you're using a strong airstream. You are tonguing that note and your air is super focused like a pin stream. So now that you think that you have both of those pitches, let's do a little exercise where we switch between low and high. So I'm going to turn on a metronome and we're going to play the low pitch for 4 beats. And then we're going to play the high pitch for 4 beats. So we're going to switch back and forth between those 2 pitches. So let me get my metronome on. Hopefully you can hear that okay. I'm going to back up a bit so my microphone, I don't deafen you with my sounds. And I'll count to 4. We'll play 4 low, and then we'll do 4 high. Here you go. So 1, 2, low. feel free to pause the video, do that a couple times so you feel like you can go between the low and high pitch with ease. So if you need to go back a couple seconds, try that again. That's an excellent warm-up for your flute before you even put the whole instrument together. So now that we have that kind of under our fingers, I was going to say under our lips, I guess, but anyways, we're going to put the whole flute together now. So let's get our instrument and let's put this into practice now. And now that, luckily flute only has 3 parts, eh? Now that everything is put together, we're going to do this with a couple different notes. So what we're going to start with first is we're going to start with F, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, pinky. So we'll play an F. This is also so. And let's play a low so, and then we're going to move it up to a high so. I'll demonstrate what it sounds like so you can hear the pitches, and then we'll try it together. So now you know what it sounds like. Let's try that together now. Here we go. I'll turn the metronome back on. 4 low and 4 high. Here we go. 1, 2, low. Nice. Now what we're going to do, we're going to lift up a finger and we're going to play a low G to a high G, or this is La in solfege. 1, 2, ready. Nice. We're just going to keep lifting up fingers. The next note we're going to play is just 1, 2, pinky, which is an A, or it's T. So we'll go from a low T to a high T. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. And you might be able to guess the last one we are about to do. The last one is low B flat to high B flat. So a low do to a high do. Let's try that one now. Here we go. And 1, 2, ready. Nice job. That sounds fantastic. I'll get this metronome off for the time being. You're probably sick of hearing that click back and forth. So what we're going to do now is something that's going to prepare us for the pieces we're currently playing. So as you know, one of the pieces we're working on is Bossa Blue, and there are 2 different parts for this. There is a first flute part and there is a second flute part. Each are equally challenging, and there's some tough things that you have to do with your fingers that will apply to both. So it doesn't really matter like whether you play the first part or the second part. We're going to do a couple finger exercises that all flute players need to be able to do. So I'm going to teach you what an interval is. So when you think of an interval, you may think of like interval training or something like that. And it's the interval actually in music is the distance between 2 notes. And there are some intervals that are pretty tricky on flute. I'd say the most difficult one is from D to C. Now, I don't know if you have realized this before, but D is 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pinky, and also, of course, your thumb too in this spot right here. But C is actually, oh my gosh, did I say pinky? I played an E flat. So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, that's a D. And then your thumb on the back. And then a C is everything that was down is actually now up. So D and C are the opposite fingers because this is down for D. And C, your first finger goes down, your pinky goes down, your thumb is off the back. So it's literally the opposite fingers. So we're going to take a little bit of time and practice going between D and C. And there is a really, really fast switch. in Bossa Blue. There's a super quick switch between D to C, and you will see this in your music a lot as you keep playing in band. So right now, take a minute and just practice going D, C, D, C. Whatever's down is now up. It's the complete opposite fingers. Very, very tricky. This pinky is just hanging out, not really doing a whole lot, so it's not tucked under the flute. It's just going to be hanging out here. D, C, D, C. And I'm going to put our metronome back on, and we're going to play a really quick DC every once in a while on beat number 1. So I'll demonstrate what that's going to sound like. So here's the metronome again. What we'll do is we'll do this. 1, 2, 3. And so on and so on. So I'll turn the metronome back on, and all I'm doing is D, C, a really, really quick switch, and this is going to get you so good. Your finger's totally trained to go in between those notes. So I'll turn the metronome back on, and let's practice going between a D and C a couple times. So here we go. And 1, 2, here's D. 2, 3, 4. Again. Again. One more time. One more time for good luck. Nice. And if you feel really comfortable with that, what you can do is see how fast that you can get between those two notes, and show your teachers in your next lesson where we get to play again how fast you can go between D and C. Now, speaking of other tricky intervals on flute, let's talk about another one that we see in Bossa Blue. So this is from B flat, 1, 1 pinky, to A. So B flat, which is do, to A, which is a low T. Bum, bum, or bum, 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 bum. Kind of a tricky one, so practice those fingers from B flat to A. From B flat to A. Your pinky stays here. Your thumb stays on the back. It's just kind of coordinating your middle finger and your pointer fingers. So B flat to A. Though that's the next interval we will work on. I'll put the metronome back on, and we will do the same thing again with B flat and A, or do and T. So here we go. Here's B flat. 1, 2, 3. 3. Again. Again. One more time. One more for good luck. Nice. And same thing again. What you can do just on your own right now, see how fast you can go in between. And prove to your teachers next time you see them, look how fast I can go between B flat and A. And you can do that between any two notes that you feel like you might have a bit of a problem switching in between. So those are the two that I wanted to focus on today in the video. So hopefully you found that useful. Plenty of things that we can do to train our fingers, and fingers are half the battle when it comes to playing. So I can't wait to see you guys again. Hopefully you enjoyed your lesson for this week, working on your low and high and training your fingers to do those things. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon. Goodbye.